All right. Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome into Big Duke's Virtual Race Hub live tonight on Above the Yellow Line Media with Mr. Malik Ray, Coke Series driver. Malik, welcome in. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us tonight.
Nah, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So we'll get right into it. Got Daytona coming up. How much practice? How much practice is going into Daytona?
Um, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't call it practice. It's more so just reps. I just been doing a bunch of play racing like these past couple of weeks, and I just try to just stay on top of that. I think I've done probably, if I had to guess, over the last 3 or 4 days, maybe like I'd say like 100 laps in total.
100 laps over. That's quite a few races.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I do want to ask you, because I don't know, and I get a lot of people that ask me during my streams. As a Coke Series driver, as a guy with the black marker by the safety rating, right where you are, you're not A, you're not B, you're not C, you're not do you guys are you guys obligated to run any fixed lobbies or a certain amount of fixed lobbies? Because I know all the stuff you guys do is open setup stuff, but are you guys obligated to kind of run with the general public and be that, or do you guys just choose to do it anyway?
No, we just choose to do it anyway.
You just
I
like
don't.
doing it. I
Yeah,
hear you. I
yeah,
hear you.
yeah, pretty much.
I've always wondered about that because people ask me, and I thought that maybe you guys were obligated, but you're just kind of like me. You just like hot lapping them. You can't get enough of it. I get it.
Yeah,
And
pretty
so
much.
do you prefer running a lot of fixed set, or you prefer running open set?
I love running fixed setup stuff. It puts everybody on the same playing field. As far as open sets, I despise them. I don't like
Yes.
having to run them at all, to be honest with you.
What is okay? So do you would you classify yourself as a driver or a technical driver? Whereas, and I don't mean this in any other way, like some people can work on the cars, some people can drive the cars. You talk to Kyle Larson, he openly admitted, hell, I don't know what half this stuff is, right? So are you a technical driver, or are you just one of those that just gets in and drives?
I just get in and drive,
Just
man.
get in and drive it. I hear you. So how does one become a Coke Series driver? Tell us, how did you get started iRacing? How did you get started sim racing? What was the catalyst that took Malik from a general player to, okay, we're pretty good here. We can do this. Let's pursue the next level. Take us through that.
So I found out about iRacing through it would be YouTube. I found out about it through YouTube. And at the time they had the Drivers World Championship Series, and it had Dale Jr. in it, and and I think that's just how I found out about iRacing in general. Um, And then like I got on when I was like probably like 12 or 13, and I realized how good I was when I was like 14 or 15. And then I just kind of just I don't know, I just started to take it serious. Like once I realized that I was good at it, like, I just started taking it serious, and then I was trying to get to Coke.
So did you have any racing background before? Or just playing, just general playing video games, and that just happened, you just happened to come across YouTube?
I just happened to come across YouTube. So I would say iRacing is probably the first like racing game that I had played. I didn't play like NASCAR 2003 or like anything else. Like iRacing, like that
That's
was the first like
that's
NASCAR
awesome.
game that I had like played at all.
That is fascinating, because I know some guys like that had no desire to play a racing game at all, and all of a sudden they're running up with their 5,000 hour rating. I'm like, man, you didn't even want to do this. What are you doing? So that's pretty cool. So you haven't really, in the grand scheme of things, you really haven't been doing it that long. I guess I don't know and you started with iRacing, so there was no other, because I started when I did first started sim racing. I was with VHR. I'm sorry, R Factor 2 with the VHR mod, and that was back in 2008. And it was funny because I was racing out of hotel rooms because I was a construction worker on the road, and I had my G27 attached to a ironing board because I could get the elevation right, sitting in the office chair, hooked with a laptop hooked to a TV. So tell us about that. Tell us about your equipment. What do you run? What what kind of wheel, what kind of pedals you got? Because I know it's funny. A lot of people ask, "Hey, what's your setup like?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got this elaborate stuff, but you don't need all this." So tell us what drives Malik there.
So I would say that I'm gonna go from bottom to top. So my rig itself is a SimSeats XR2, I think. It was gifted through me through sponsorship from SimSeats. Um, and I have Fanatec pedals, and they're V3s, and they're inverted. And I have the Fanatec shifter, and I have the SemiQ bass, and my monitor is a 49-inch monitor, and that's it.
So the we're gonna get all that link. That SimSeat stuff is nice, very
Yeah,
nice stuff.
man.
Now the inverted pedals. I've always wondered about those. I've never had an inverted pedal stuff. How does that feel compared to? I mean, obviously it's going to feel different, but how do you like that compared to the flat pedals?
Um, I love it, but the only thing that I don't love is that the gas pedal is not inverted. The brake and the clutch are, but the gas pedal is just regular. I don't know why they have the pedals like that. But that's just how they are.
Yeah, that would need to be. I could see that would
Yeah.
feel weird.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Okay, so I got to ask you. Last year, I was reading some quotes from you coming to the end of that Atlanta race. You were using some criticism or some what you thought was maybe criticism about you being too nice at the end of races and not going for the got not going for the jugular and then you did here at the end of Atlanta. Take us through that and that big finish, close as can be. Was it 000 at the finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was real
So
close.
take us through that and kind of relive that first Coke Series win.
So like I'm gonna kind of just get towards the end of it. The end of it, it was coming off turn two. I have two teammates in front of me, but the second teammate that's in second place because I'm in third, and we're all up top. The second place teammate, he's been like my best friend on the game for like at least like the last like 10 years. And like at the end of our races, because we're both in Coke, we sometimes like we both struggle with this. We're too loyal to each other. Like whereas like when we should leave each other and try to do what's best for us, we're like, nah, man, it's like it's all good, bro. Like if you finish eighth, then I'll finish eighth. Or like if you finish 30th, then I'll finish 30th. Cause we we stay like neck and neck with each other. And he went low off of turn two and he was expecting me to go with him. And I just couldn't do it. And I just had to stay up top. And he ended up getting trained. And I think he was probably like 10th, like by the time we got to turn three and four. And I mean, but like that was the race winning move for me. I feel like if I go low with him, then my other teammate is going to side draft me, and I'm not even going to get a chance at Michael anyway. So I feel
Right.
like I just had to just stay. I just had to choose myself for once, and I mean, like, like it paid off for me. So I was happy about it,
I know. I
and he
was
wasn't a
watching.
sore loser either. Like he was also happy that I won.
I love watching the replay of your stream on that, man. You were just going absolutely bonkers. It was so awesome to watch because I've raced against you a little bit in some of the lobbies when my damn I rating is such a roller coaster. I'll get up to that decent 32, 3400 range where I'm racing with you guys, and then all of a sudden I'll just take a nosedive and lose 1,000. Like coming up the Daytona Atlanta back to back coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm just absolutely afraid of that, but as
I got
anybody
you.
is.
Yeah.
Um, so give us some advice of somebody that's just getting into iRacing. What would you say is a good way to start to not um get too carried away with budget, not get too carried away with expectations? What do you think is a good way to start coming into iRacing?
Um. Uh. Do you just mean like equipment wise or like attitude wise?
Yeah, all that. Because you get these people that come in and say, I'm gonna go pro, and they're
Yeah.
they're at
Mm-hmm.
A. 299 with a 300 I rating. It's like, let's back down. So yeah, just expectations and a decent equipment start.
Um, I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go with the equipment first. I think you can use like a Driving Force GT or like a G27 or like a G29. All three of those are good wheels. And if you want some good pedals, I would say go with some Fanatec's. Now they don't have to be inverted, but I mean, like I have mine inverted. I think there's also the Thrustmaster TP3As or something like that. I'd say that's a good setup right there because, in my opinion, I don't think you need a direct drive for the game. I know that's a heavily unpopular opinion, but I made it and I didn't have a direct drive. So I mean, like and I didn't get mine until last year. And as far as the attitude, I would just go in here with the same mindset that I had and just get on here to have fun. And if you do realize that you are like that good and you're like catching up the pace and stuff like that, then I would think about trying to go pro. But if you like if you get the sim and you're trying to just go straight pro, you're just gonna be disappointing yourself because you're not gonna have any fun. You're just gonna be trying to just how do I put this? Is like you're gonna take all the fun out of it because you're gonna be trying to like learn like all like the like the cheese and the little like the small stuff that just separates like like the pros from like anybody else. And I think like if you just if you just get the game and you see that you can keep up like fairly decent without knowing all that stuff, then I think you should try to go pro. But I mean, like if you're just like getting the game and you don't even see that off top, and that's your first goal is to go pro, it's just not gonna work out for you.
Yeah, it's a bit it's a there's different levels like you don't even realize. I took a couple of little coaching classes one time, and the biggest advice he gave me was, man, you're just going to wake up one day and you're just going to realize that you can do it at this level, and then the next little level comes and you realize, oh yeah, I can do it at that level. And it was frustrating, but it was true because once you get to the 2000s, then it's like, okay, I've improved a little bit. Then you start running up in those, the 2800 I rating strength of field stuff, and you start being competitive there, right? And then next thing you know, you're 3000 I rating and you're at a 3900 strength of field, and you're
Hmm.
running kind of top 5, top 7, and it's like, oh, well, hold up. Well, now wait a minute. I did understand this, and I don't understand why I got it. But that is the big thing that I hear a lot, and that's what I try to tell people is just be patient with your expectations. Let's not get too carried away. Switching a little bit of gears, though, going into this year and back into the Coke series, you're with a new team. Tell us about your new team. Tell us about Vegas Racing and their new entry into the sim racing world.
So I'm with the Las Vegas Infernos, and the funny thing is the guy that ends up being like the GM of the iRacing part of them. He's been like a long time. How do I put this? He's been like a long time like supporter from Twitch. Like he's been subbed to me, I think like the last like 4 years, like consecutively. And once he got like the general spot of that team, I was the first person that he wanted because like he had been
He
subbed to me so
knew.
long.
He
Yeah,
knew.
I was so I was so happy about that because it's funny like how it's just like everything. It's like it kind of just came like full circle because I didn't even know that he was a part of that. Not until he told me the morning of free agency.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't have any
That's
idea.
so. What does Vegas Inferno do? You told me a little bit earlier, off beforehand, that they just getting into that.
Mhm.
What does Vegas Inferno? What is all they have? What do all they have?
As of right now, I know they have COD, and they have Fortnite. I know they have other stuff too, but I'm not too familiar like those games and those platforms and stuff. But I know like they're professional in those three. It's iRacing and Fortnite and COD.
Okay. Um. So you kind of told us earlier that you're done. You're not really um getting too carried away with practice coming up for Daytona, just more so just over and over, about 100 laps in the last what 4 or 5 days, right?
Mhm.
But going into the season when you have, I guess I know the setup is dependent at Daytona, right? But it's kind of a plug, and you got what you got.
Yeah.
But going into the different tracks where it's a little bit more setup dependent, how much more time does that take? What does a weekly practice look like with your team, with your setup shop?
Um, so we have like a bunch of like main testers and they do like most of the runs or whatever. I have a job. I get off work, I come home, I might do like a 35 lap run and put it in the spreadsheet and I'll see like if I'm off or not on times. And then like I'll take the same set again and I'll go do like another 35 laps and then I'll see like an improvement in my time and I just keep doing that all the time. Like we'll have like a version, let's say a version 3,
Mm.
and let's say like it's too loose or whatever, then we'll have a 3.1. It's like a tad bit tighter, and 3.2 it's a tad bit tighter, and you kind of just pick and choose like out of those, like which one that you like to drive the most. And mm, eh, I'll say the Friday before the race because our races are every 2 weeks. The Friday before the race, I'm on pace with the rest of my teammates at that point, but it's taking me 2 weeks to get there because they practice so much. I, I'll probably turn like I'll say like 400 laps in 2 weeks. They're like double that.
So it's fascinating. You say that 2 weeks. So this is so wow. It's just like a race team. Whereas, and when I say race team, they got a car that's prepared for a couple weeks in advance. The good teams, right? They're ready to load up a couple weeks in advance. Here it is, and you're telling us that, okay, my team's working on it a couple weeks in advance. I'm catching up to them finally Friday of race week, where they've been hammering it out for 2 weeks, and you can kind of see where you're gaining. That's very fascinating. See, that's a lot of time, more so behind the scenes, right, with your team. That takes. So, how many teammates do you guys have that works on that?
Right now, I think we have the biggest team in Coke. I kid you not. I think we have like 12 or 13 Coke drivers. Like it's pretty nuts. But
You
not
got
all of them practice though. I think only like 7 of them practice.
so you got seven practice drivers that fine tune everything, and
Mhm.
then everybody. How many series drivers are there that's going to be in the series?
Oh, 13.
Oh, you guys got 13. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
So
lot of us.
oh my God, that's a big old team.
It's like half the field. Yeah.
Man, if you're gonna come in blazing, right? Might as
Yeah,
well.
man. It's like half the field.
That's so what happened to all the other teams? Did they just get absorbed?
No, like they're just a lot smaller. I know Altus is like 4 cars. Um, I know what's the other team called? I think NFR's like 9 cars. I know Nexus is 3 cars. Everybody else is just a lot smaller. I don't know why like our team's so big. I mean, I guess it's just because we've all been friends. Like we were all friends before we got in Coke, and we all just happened to be this fast, like on the sim. So it kind of just makes sense that
Man, all the
like we
fast
all
people
just
seem to
stay.
migrate. Y'all just seem to migrate together. It's all good.
Yeah.
So tell me though, when last year you were racing with affiliated with Spire, is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
So how does that work within a Coke Series driver and a team? Yeah, I guess alliance, if you will. Is there any involvement with the team? Do you get to go over there and hang out, or what's that like?
Um. So like they treated me as if like I was like a NASCAR driver. I could show up to the shop anytime I wanted to, anytime I was at the racetrack, and they gave me hot passes for like any race that I asked to, whether it was the 500 or the Coke 600 or the Southern 500, like any of that stuff. I kid you not, I could go to the NASCAR track and I could just walk in the hauler. It didn't matter like if it was the 77 or the 7 or Carson's or whoever, like I could just walk straight in the hauler and they all knew me by name. They're
That's
like super like involved. They're probably the most like involved. How would I put this? I guess like the most involved team that I've seen in Coke.
Spire. Well, that makes sense because they're more of, if you read, if you read their logo, they're Spire Marketing Group, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense that they would be involved more so in the esports arena than some of the other teams. But that's pretty cool that they treat you just like a driver. Because I mean, hell, I mean you're representing them. That's interesting to know. Because I ran into Ray Alfala one year down here in Daytona, and it was pretty neat because he was walking around. He had his credential, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I wonder how much of the involvement that actually is. So, when do we kick off the Coke series? It's next Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Next Tuesday.
When so do you have you guys ran any qualifiers? Are there any what's the schedule? What's the schedule look like?
Um, I mean, like we just show up on Tuesday and we got what we got. I mean, before I had joined this interview, I was just testing with him. Like I was just testing, and we feel like our set. I mean, like I don't know, like if everybody else is having the same problem, but we're not sucking up good to. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we
Uh,
just feel slow right now, to be honest with you.
that sounds like an
I'm not
answer
gonna
that
lie to you.
any that sounds like an answer that any driver is going to give to anybody right now, right before Daytona. We're slow. We don't have the speed.
No, man, I'm telling you the
We're
truth. Like we can't
off.
suck up to each other.
I bet you'll magically figure it out come race time though.
I imagine so too.
So, Malik, tell us where can we find you on your socials? Tell us about your team socials. Tell us some sponsors who you got to thank, and tell us, your outlook coming up on the Coke series, and your realistic expectations about what you think you got coming up.
I'm gonna go with the expectations first. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really, I'm really gonna be disappointed um, if I don't win Daytona. I feel like I'm one of the better play racers on the service. I'm always putting myself in position, like time and time again, and I just need to just capitalize on it. And as far as the whole season, I believe I can make the playoffs. I should have made them last year, to be honest with you. And I mean, I think that's just my main goal is just making the playoffs, and then we'll just go from there. So, but as
That's
far as
that sounds reasonable.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when you do win Daytona, I'll go ahead and let you know we're gonna have you back on after you win Daytona, and we'll just call it now. How about that?
that's what I like to hear, man. Nice,
Sounds
nice.
good. What was that? What was that last question that I asked you? I completely went blank there.
I think it was like social media stuff.
Yeah, tell us about your social media and your sponsors. That's what it was.
So on Twitch, you can find me at Campaign Ray. On Twitter, it's my first and last name, and then TTV. And on Instagram, it's _I am, and then MFR. Yeah. And my sponsors are Las Vegas Infernos and Wagoneers Welding and Sim Seats, obviously.
Right on. Well, hey, Malik, thank you very much for your time, for taking some time out of your schedule to come by and chat with us. Good luck going into this year. Like I said, we're going to have you back on when you win Daytona. So looking forward to that. But good luck, and we'll see you. We'll see you on the sim sometime. I know the first encounter that I had with you, it was the restart at Texas, and I didn't get going that good. I thought I did, but I was told, man, if you don't get going any better than that, you're gonna get ran over every time. And I was like, who is this dude? But no, you were absolutely right. But hey, man, I greatly appreciate your time, and we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here. You guys have a good night. Thank you very much, Malik.
All right, man. Thank you for the opportunity.